And now we're going to go to John Frankfurter, who's going to talk about building his S-scale bridge, scratch building his S-scale bridge. So John, welcome. I'll turn it over to you, sir.
Well, this is a quick recap from what we talked about last week. Unfortunately, two of my previous videos haven't made it up on YouTube yet, but this is the final segment of my build along. Last week we looked at building the deck for the bridge. We looked at gluing up the cross members, the paint. We looked at the pictures of the internal bridge structure. I made a little name tag that goes in the center of the bridge that basically says the name of the bridge and who built it and when. We had a look at the bridge in place. And then after that, we had some discussions about laser cutting, model building in general. So this is another look at the bridge that it's temporarily in place. After I designed it and built it, I realized that I forgot the cross members that go from on each side. So that'll be added later on. So this is the gorge that Randy Boscher helped me carve out and design. This is where I cut out the foam for the piers on both sides. And then I designed the pier on my CNC machine and cut these out. Now Randy gave me this sort of a green colored paint, and that kind of reminds me of the overpasses on the highways where they paint the bridge kind of that color. So I use that as my pier bridges. And here's where I have them glued in place. These piers are for my other bridge that I built. And then I used, Randy told me about this stuff called ground goop, and I used that to cover the styrofoam to give it more of a rocky or dirt covered look to my foam. And here's the, I put a handrail on the one side of the bridge, and you'll notice right here that this particular section is not the same as the rest of them. Evidently, when I was measuring this out, the board I was using was longer than my deck span, so I miscalculated for the spacing there. But I used a number 28 solid wire with the yellow jacket on it. I guess that's the OSHA rules for bridges. Since the bridge set up just a little bit off the actual table, I made some steps and continued the number 28 handrail wire down here. I used the 1/8 inch balsa wood strips, and I used a mahogany stain in it. It looks pretty close to railroad ties. It doesn't match these ties, but that's okay. So here's a picture of the two bridges that I built. This is John the builder. He's out there checking everything out to make sure that the bridge was designed right. So that's basically the simple bridge build along. If we ever get the other two videos up on YouTube, you can see where I cut these simulated boards and some of the cutouts or the side cutouts for the bridge. I did that on my laser, and so far I think it's turned out pretty good. Now this bridge right here, that's all scratch built. There's no laser cutting on that or anything. And what I did with that one was I I found a site online that shows how to design a curved bridge using this style of bridge. So in finishing this up, I think I just need to go back in and put the cross braces. And here's a picture of the bridge and the gorge from the other side. Now I got this masonite in here, and what I'm going to do is, Randy said he would come over when he gets done with his knee surgery and stuff, that we're going to put another piece on the other end, and then we're going to fill this in and make it into like a small stream. But I've used some weeds I found out along the railroad to make trees and stuff. My grandson thought it was funny to put animals in there to fill in the scene. There's a guy standing behind the tree, and I think there's 4 or 5 snakes down in there. And the snakes is kind of neat because Randy said that you could use real thin solder, and you just flatten one end a little bit to make it look like the snake's head, and then you just kind of, between your fingers, you just kind of roll up like they would be curled up. And there's little nooks and crannies down in here where I've got snakes hidden. There's a big rock down here that there's a guy sitting on that, and this section turned into be a landslide. Oops. So let's see. Yeah, this turned into be a landslide. So Randy's been teaching me how the ways to make the rocks and stuff, and how to use the foliage to make it fill in. But I think these 2 bridges, even though they're not built as a kit or anything like that, I personally think they turned out pretty good. I've cut everything and put the pillars in so that it has plenty of support, and that's it. I think it turned out pretty nice, even though I might have forgot a few things here and there. But all in all, this down here, I thought that was kind of neat. I bought some really cheap brushes. I think they were like 25 cents at the store. I mean, they're really coarse brushes, and I basically just pulled the bristles out and glued them into place. So that's it for me, and thanks for following along. Any questions or comments? I'm always open to learn something new. So thanks for watching.
Well, John, I certainly appreciate everything that you've done to show us what you did to build the bridges. I really do appreciate it. And it just goes to show that you don't have to buy a kit necessarily. If you see something that you want to build, it's possible to strike out and give it a shot and build it. And I admire you for doing that. And I think your bridges turned out beautiful. I really do.
Thank you.
So does anybody have any more questions for John?
What have you learned the most by doing this?
When I built the second bridge, I learned a lot of structure, because the first bridge was just I needed a bridge because my grandson wanted to run trains across the gorge. And so that was just a quick and dirty, throw it together, and it was a bridge. The problem with that one is actually the decking is what supports the train going across there. Now with the second bridge, I learned a little bit more about the design of the bridge, and I looked at diagrams and how they actually build a curved bridge like that. So, as I progress along in my modeling skills, I'm learning a little bit more so that it doesn't look like it was cut out of a laser and thrown together like the first one. But, you got to start someplace.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, and frankly, what John just said is exactly the purpose of the series of Watch Me Build that John's a part of, because it doesn't, you don't have to be a master craftsman here. What we want to see is what you're building and what issues you're dealing with and what you're learning. As Ed asked the question, what did you learn from this? And that's the important part of it. And we love to see what you're building and how you're building it and the techniques that you're using. And that's why we started this segment. So John, being the guinea pig and the first one to do it, I really do appreciate it. And thanks again for your time and effort.
Thank you.
Well, we don't